I hope you are finding ways to care for yourself among these uncertain and contentious times, that you are physically healthy, that you're nurturing your mental well-being, and that your spirit remains aligned with your purpose. So March is Women's History Month, and tomorrow is International Women's Day. This is a global day celebrating the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. Can you imagine a world where gender is equal, a world free of bias and stereotypes and discrimination, a world that's diverse, equitable, and inclusive, a world where difference is valued and celebrated? I believe this is what most of us want, what most of us believe in, and what many of us spend our lives fighting for. Yet while we continue to deal with the uncertainty coming out of Washington, we here at the Urban League remain steadfast in our commitment to the principles of DEI. And we are filled with hope and determination that we're going to continue our work of building equity, dismantling systemic racism, and fighting for that world where everyone is valued and celebrated. We hope that you plan to continue to stand with us as we continue to advance equity across Rochester. Because this is not a time where we can stay silent. We cannot stand still, and we cannot wait for this to pass. But we must act with our voices, our feet, and even our dollars. And so that's why I'm excited about who we have as our presenter today. So I'm pleased to welcome you all to this monthly speaker series. The Urban League, as you may know, is one of 92 affiliates of the National Urban League. And as Rochester's civil rights organization, it is our mission to interrupt and dismantle systems of racism and inequity that deprive Black and Brown and historically disadvantaged peoples from exercising their civil rights and expressing their full humanity. Through this speaker series, our aim is to engage in intentional and consistent acts of dialogue, understanding, and allyship that strip racism of its power and help us consider a new path forward. So to that end, we are honored to have Mr. Jim Armstrong, writer and creative director of Armstrong Words and founder and program director at Climate Changers. Jim has taught creative writing and creative thinking at the college level and has an MA in creative writing and poetry. He leads workshops, not workshops, but workshops focused on issues ranging from climate change to racial justice. Jim founded and served as creative director of a communications firm that communicated the noble purpose of organizations dedicated to sustainability and social responsibility. It was certified as a B Corp in 2008. Jim's groundbreaking AIDS awareness campaign is archived in the Smithsonian. He also founded a nonprofit showcasing the stories of individuals around the world taking action to address climate change. He just finished working on a book addressing climate justice. And in this session, Finding the Words That Provoke and Heal, we will gain valuable insights into how words can change the world, focusing on discovering the words that communicate what fairness and injustice means. So as we are using our words and our voices to act, Jim is going to help us find those words that will provoke and heal. So as we prepare to turn the discussion over to Jim, I just want to remind everyone to please mute yourselves if you haven't already done so. We want to make sure that there's no background noise that can disrupt the conversation. This is meant to be an interactive session, so please use your reaction buttons to give feedback during the presentation if something resonates with you. And we also want to encourage you to fully participate in the dialogue. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat so that you don't lose your thoughts as you're hearing Jim's discussion, and we'll be sure to have ample time for discussion and Q&A at the end. My colleague Shannon will moderate that Q&A session. So just as a reminder, the Urban League of Rochester is a nonpartisan 501c3 organization. The views expressed by any speakers or participants are theirs and theirs alone, and they're not necessarily endorsed by that of the Urban League of Rochester. So with that, I turn it over to you. Jim, please feel free to share your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Lucas. With that introduction, I just think I'll hang it up and call it a day. I'll just stop right there. That was very nice and uplifting. Your first part of that introduction, talking about where we're at as a country and as a world, was very inspiring and needed at this moment. And hopefully what we talk about in the next hour or so will help build on the words you shared today. And greetings, everyone. If you can see me okay. Thank you so much for taking the time. John and Susie all the way from the UK. Wow. So this is going to be a working session. You are going to do most of the work. I am just going to take you through a process here. It's going to be focused on words, lots and lots of words and their meaning. We will not, if you come to a point at the end of the session where you feel that you've got it, that you have a call to action, that you have created and crafted, and it's working great, wonderful. If at the end of the session you feel like you're just scratching the surface, that's fine too. The idea is to begin to get you thinking and then acting based upon the words that you feel you can work best with. And the words that we're going to be looking at during this session to get you to that point are the key words and terms and phrases that the Urban League is using to help tell their story. So the idea is for you to if you want to use their words and they work for you, fantastic. If you want to adjust the words and come up with your own language and your own words to help convey the Urban League's message, that's perfectly fine too. The goal is to find how you can express yourself in a way that is meaningful to you, that you feel it in your heart and soul when you say it, and that when people hear you say it, they're moved, they're touched, and they want to do something. So that's the goal. If we get to that in an hour, that'll be fantastic. But again, I'm just trying to plant the seeds today for you to get to that point. Okay? So words can provoke and they can heal, and especially in the world of the Urban League. Dealing with racism, the words we use can indeed provoke and heal. So it's all about understanding. And this session is about understanding the way in which racism colors our lens of ourselves and others and influences our behaviors. And how do we find the words that reflect this understanding and create and guide our actions now and forward? I always like to include this at the beginning. It's a quote that really strikes a chord with me. White folks don't even know we're not even speaking the same embodied language. We don't see the world in the same way. And so white people coming up and just saying, this is what I want to do, or this is what I think, you don't even realize that the language that you're speaking is wounding. This is by Resmaa Menakem, a Minneapolis-based psychotherapist specializing in the effects of trauma on the human body and the relationship between trauma, white body supremacy, and racism in America. So I share this at the beginning to make sure that if there's anything I do during this session that is wounding, alert me to it immediately, and I'll apologize and try to move forward with that understanding. I just realized that being a white person and speaking on this issue puts me in a place that I want to make sure that whatever I see and share is positive and uplifting and not wounding and hurtful. So today we'll review the key words and build from them through a working session. You will create your own definition and meanings based on the words that we review, and you'll cast your words and meanings as defined by you into a call to action statement. If there's time, hopefully we'll be able to share our statements with one another, talk about them, get input, and then based on that input or going forward as well, you can fortify that statement and build on it and take it to a place of perfection for you. Please don't just get this mixed up with a mission or purpose statement or a manifesto or some universal or unique truth or an affirmation or one word that does it all. The shorter and sweeter and free of commas your statement is, the better. With that, however, I found that in doing this workshop that people actually use what they've created as a manifesto, as a purpose statement, but don't get bogged down in those semantics. Rosa Parks had her call to action down to one word: no. I'll share with you at the end of the session what her vision behind that no was, but if you could find a more shorter and sweet call to action than no, let me know what that is. So again, reinforcing, we are working on a call to action. Before we move forward here, I want you to just take a minute, and hopefully you've got something to write with, because you are going to be writing 4 or 5 things today. The reason or purpose why you have devoted this block of time to this workshop today. So just take a minute and write that down. And I'll give you a minute there just to note something down. Nothing you write now has to be perfect, just to get things moving in terms of putting a finger to the screen or a pencil to the pad and write something down at this point. Why are you here? Okay, we're going to move forward based on what you've written there. Hopefully, if you've got a goal in mind for the session, that we achieve that for you and you get something of true value out of this. I'm going to be throwing some quotes in here throughout the session too that kind of are here to take you to different places, take your mind to places they may not usually go to. This is from poet Lucille Clifton. They ask me to remember, but they want me to remember their memories, and I keep remembering mine. So we're going to have several words we're going to look at today. We're going to explore what fairness, equity, justice, and injustice mean to you, and how you express that meaning with words that provoke or heal or actually do both. We're going to explore what defend democracy, defeat poverty, and demand diversity, equity, and inclusivity mean to you, and how you express that meaning with words to provoke or heal or do both. And we're going to explore what identify, interrupt, and dismantle systemic racism mean to you, and how you express that meaning with words that provoke or heal or do both. So we're going to be looking at a lot of words, and we're going to be looking at them very quickly. Let me know if we're going too fast in that regard. But first, let's look at the 2 words provoke and heal. I'm just pulling definitions from probably the most standard dictionaries most of the people use throughout this in our country and beyond, and also synonyms pulled from classic sources. So I'm not making these up. These are actually pulled from if somebody wanted to go up and look for the word provoke, this is what they would find right now as a definition: to stimulate or give rise to a reaction or emotion, typically a strong and at times uncomfortable one, or to stimulate or incite to do or feel something, to do or feel something. Other words connected to provoke: it could mean produce, evoke, cause, give rise to, call forth, elicit, inspire, excite, spark, kindle, generate, result in, lead to, contribute to, make for, foster, promote, prompt, stir, move, stimulate, motivate, excite, encourage, and urge. And one takeaway from this right now is that we're looking at one word, provoke, and it has all of these different words connected to it. So when we are choosing our words to express our call to action, each word is incredibly important, and the meaning behind the word. So when you are working with, for example, provoke, you could be causing someone to move to a comfortable place or an uncomfortable place. It's dependent on how you are using that word. You don't have to use provoke. You could, if there are words that you see on the screen here that you connect with more than the word provoke, you can do that. Or you can find a different word. If there's something here, when you hear the word provoke and none of these words or the definition of provoke's not working for you, redefine the word based on what you need it to mean to you. The key is, though, when you do that, that you're still communicating what the meaning of provoke is to you. And then heal. Heal can mean to cause a wound, injury, or person to become sound or healthy again. It can mean to alleviate distress or anguish. It can mean to correct or put right an undesirable situation. And other words for heal include make well, make better, cure, treat successfully, restore to health, get someone back on their feet or on their road to recovery, make good, mend, remedy, restore, relieve, help, correct, reconcile, harmonize. And again, you see a multitude of different words that are connected to the word heal and what heal means. After a review of Provoke and Heal, now take a couple of minutes to write a call to action based on what we've just reviewed. This doesn't have to be your call to action right now, but what you know about the words provoke and heal, write a call to action that can either use the words, doesn't have to use the word, but take a couple of minutes and we'll have silence here while you work on that call to action. We're going to move on now. Another quote from a poet, Ida B. Wells: "The way to right wrongs is to cast the light of truth upon them." Now we're going to look at 4 key words that are directly connected to the heart and soul of the Urban League: fairness, equity, justice, and injustice. Fairness, equity, justice, and injustice. Fairness can be a noun, meaning impartial and just treatment or behavior without favoritism or discrimination. Or it can be an adjective, meaning in accordance with the rules or standards. It's legitimate. It's just or appropriate in the circumstances. It is without cheating or trying to achieve an unjust advantage. Fairness. Other words connected to fairness: just, equitable, open-minded, honest, upright, honorable, trustworthy, impartial, unbiased, unprejudiced, nonpartisan, non-discriminatory, anti-discrimination, objective, neutral, even-handed, legitimate, proper, and just simply good. All the other words that can be connected to what fairness means. Equity. Equity can also be a noun or an adjective. As a noun, it means the quality of being fair and impartial, a branch of law that was actually developed alongside common law in order to remedy some of its defects in fairness and justice. It can mean just treatment or behavior without favoritism and discrimination. So you can see some connections here between the meaning of fairness and equity. And then as an adjective, equity can mean in accordance with the rules or standards, legitimate, just or appropriate in the circumstances, without cheating or trying to achieve an unjust advantage, and an archaic meaning of equity, meaning gentle and not violent, which I found pretty interesting. Gentle and non-violent equity. Other words for equity: fairness, justice, impartiality, even-handedness, lack of discrimination or bias or prejudice or bigotry, egalitarianism, honesty, integrity, rightness, rightfulness, decency, goodness, honorableness, conscientiousness, reasonableness, neutrality, objectivity, balance, and open-mindedness. So a lot of pretty serious words here connected to the word equity. And you can begin to see some overlapping between equity, fairness, some of the words that are part of the Urban League's message. And it's nice that they overlap and build from one another in this way. Justice means the just behavior or treatment, the quality of being fair and reasonable, the administration of the law or authority in maintaining this, the personification of justice, usually a blindfolded woman holding scales and a sword. They actually include that in the OED dictionary as part of the definition. Words connected to justice. Again, you'll see a lot of repetition here from the words we've looked at before. Fairness, equity, even-handedness, egalitarianism, impartiality, lack of bias, objectivity, neutrality, lack of prejudice, open-minded, nonpartisanship, honor, uprightness, decency, integrity, honesty, righteousness, ethics, moral virtue, principle, right-mindedness, trustworthiness, and incorruptibility. So when you're looking at the list of all the different meanings of justice, when you have heard the word justice before, what kind of word popped into the mind or group of words came to mind? And are you finding any of those words here on this list? Injustice. The inverse of justice, the lack of fairness or justice, an unjust act or occurrence, not based on or behaving according to what is morally right and fair. It's interesting that the word morally is placed in there before the word right. Could have said behaving according to what is right and fair, that there's this moral connection to it of injustice. And all the meanings of injustice, unfairness, inequity, corruption, cruelty, brutality, tyranny, despotism, repression, suppression, exploitation, bias, prejudice, bigotry, favoritism, partiality, discrimination, partisanship, intolerance, wrong, injury, offense, unjust act, evil, villainy, crime, sin, iniquity, misdeed, outrage, atrocity, monstrosity, an affront, and grievance. So the word, as you can see, injustice is packed with a lot of meanings. So when we use the injustice, if we decide to use the word injustice to our call to action, what kind of response are we going to want when people hear us use the word injustice? Unfairness or monstrosity? So now after our review of these four words, fairness, equity, justice, and injustice, I want you to take a couple more minutes now and write a call to action based on using these actual words or your definition of these words, or just one of the words. You could just focus on equity, or you can just focus on justice, but write a call to action that connects with you based on your understanding now of what the word is or what the collection of words are in their meaning. So we'll give a couple of minutes now for that. Now we're going to look at defend democracy, defeat poverty, and demand diversity, equity, and inclusion. Defend democracy, defeat poverty, and demand diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'd be really interested to see how we work on diversity, equity, and inclusion here, considering how it's being attacked here in the United States. Defend, some of the words that mean defend mean to protect, guard, keep from harm, to preserve, secure, shield, shelter, or fortify, to fight for, to vindicate, to justify on behalf of something, to support, to plead for, to stand up for, to champion, to sustain, or to bolster, defend. Whole range of different words there connected to the word defend. Democracy could mean a representative government, elective government, a constitutional government, a popular government. It could mean self-government and governed by the people, autonomy, republic, or commonwealth. These are other terms used that connect with democracy. And a quote from Bernice King: continue to speak out against all forms of injustice to yourselves and others, and you will set a mighty example for your children and future generations. And that couldn't speak more to our times right now than any quote I can come across right now. Defeat, beat, conquer, triumph over, vanquish, rout, trounce, overcome, crush, quash, subjugate, whip, clobber, pulverize, crucify, murder, slaughter, demolish, drub, flatten, and turn inside out. An extreme range of words, all connected to the one word defeat. So again, it strikes me, if we're using the word defeat, what do we want it to conjure up in the people who hear us when we use this word defeat? And one of the interesting things about word selection and word choice is the words we're selecting, even though this exercise is helping you find the words that you connect with and find meaning with. When you present your words to another person or group, they're going to have the reaction you're having right now to the word. So it ends up creating quite a bit of interesting tension between the giver and the taker of the expression and the collection of words. Poverty, destitution, penniless, deprivation, need, want, hardship, strained circumstances, scarcity, deficiency, shortage, absence, lack, deficit, meagerness, limitedness, sparseness, inferiority, poor, barren, aridity, and sterility. Again, an extreme range of words connected to the word poverty. And I'm sure there are words that aren't on this list that you could add to as well. And the word demand, to call for, to ask for, to request, to press for, to push for, to clamor for, to insist on, to claim, to command, to require, to need, to necessitate, to cry out for, to insist on, to stipulate, to make a condition of, and to expect. So the range of from request to require. Diversity, variety, assortment, mixture, mix, arrange, an array, a medley, multiplicity, heterogeneity, difference, unlikeness, dissimilarity, distinctiveness, and contrast. And I thought that I would come across with a lot more words for diversity, but this is what I have to share with you right now. I'm going to explore this a little bit more, but this is what we have. Equity, fairness, justice, impartiality, even-handedness. Like we've talked about a lot of this before. Egalitarianism, righteousness, decency, goodness, honorable, sensible, neutrality, objectivity, balance, reasonable, open-mindedness, and valuation. and inclusion, incorporation, addition, insertion, introduction, involvement, taking in, and encompassing. And I have to believe that there would be a lot more words underneath inclusion right now than what we have here that have come up in the last 3 or 4 years.
I have a quick question.
Uh-huh.
Where did you find the words under each word? Like where did you find those definitions?
I looked in 2 places, the Oxford English Dictionary, the two thesauruses, and then also the good old computer dictionary. I
Okay.
thought the computer one would be the most up to date, so that's where I tried to pull some of the words from, most of the words actually. So after our review, same kind of process here: defend democracy, defeat poverty, and demand diversity, equity, inclusion. Based on what we've shared so far for this grouping of words, write a call to action. Again, it could be all of this. You've tackled all of this in your call of action. You may be just talking about defending democracy. You might just be about one element of diversity or all of DEI. It's up to you what you want to connect with here. But write a call to action. Take another couple of minutes here for this. And if someone does come with a short and sweet call to action that does connect with all of this, defend democracy, defeat poverty, and demand diversity and equity inclusion, I would love to hear it after this session. That would be a pretty cool achievement. So I'm going to move on now to make sure we get through this before time runs out and you do have time for some conversation and chat at the end. Another quote from Desmond Tutu: exclusion is never the way forward on our shared paths to freedom and justice. Again, this quote really always hits home, but more so now than ever. Identify, interrupt, dismantle systemic racism. Identify, recognize, single out, pick out, spot, point out, put a name to, know, discover, find, locate, recollect, call to mind, establish, ascertain, distinguish, verify, confirm, associate, link, connect, relate, and think of in connection with. Again, a wide range of words connected to, at first thought, the word identify. Oh yeah, I know what that means. But then when you look at all these other words attached to it, it gets a little challenging to figure out when we say identify, what do we mean? Interrupt, cut in on, break in on, barge in on, intrude, intervene, heckle, suspend, discontinue, break off, hold up, delay, lay aside, leave off, postpone, put off, stop, bring to a standstill, cease, end, terminate, impede, block, interfere with, and get in the way of. So a whole range of positive and not so positive interpretations of the word interrupt. And dismantle, take apart, take to pieces, pull apart, deconstruct, disassemble, break up, strip down, pull down, tear down, demolish, destroy, flatten, level, raise to the ground, bulldoze. Systemic, I couldn't find any, believe it or not, and contact me later if you have some synonyms for this. But the definition that I came across, the working definition of systemic, was relating to a system as opposed to a particular part. For example, the disease is localized rather than systemic. And then a kind of a biological interpretation of it is of an insecticide, fungicide, or similar substance entering the plant via the roots or shoots and passing through the tissues. Interesting systemic take on that. And racism. Racial prejudice, discrimination, antagonism, marginalized, distinguished as inferior or superior to one another, xenophobia, intolerance, bigotry, chauvinism, fascism, Nazism, and apartheid. List of incredibly powerful words there for racism. I'm probably going too fast here for you, and I might make sure we get through this. I apologize. So after looking at identify, interrupt, and dismantle racism, take a minute and craft a call to action based on what we just took a look at in terms of what these words mean, and what would be your call to action if you wanted to identify, interrupt, and dismantle racism, or is that collection of words itself working for you that would be your call to action at this point? Or just one of those things. I want to identify, or I just want to interrupt, or I just want to dismantle. And not using those words, but the words that mean something more to you than what those words do. Not that those words are wrong. Just a little quote while you're working on that statement. The very serious function of racism is distraction. It keeps you from doing your work. It keeps you explaining over and over again your reason for being. Toni Morrison. So we've looked at fairness, equity, justice, and injustice. We've looked at defend democracy, defeat poverty, demand diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we've looked at identify, interrupt, dismantle systemic racism. With all those words we've looked at fairly quickly today, I'd like you to take a couple of minutes, if we do, I think we still have time. Take a couple of minutes and create your call to action based on one of these words, a collection of these words, a different combination of the words that provokes or heals or does both. And if you want to, through this process, create your own word, feel free in doing that as well. I've actually done this workshop where people have come up with their own word where they've combined two words together. Call to action formats you could follow. I will rise up this morning and do what to achieve what. I will see that my thoughts and actions create. Insert your action or outcome here. Focused on a topic, issue of the past, present, and future. I will apply for example, wisdom and courage or another attribute of yours to ensure a future of the result and outcome you're looking for. Or I will lay my head to rest tonight knowing I did an action specific to you to overcome, or a vision or goal specific to you, or just a little tagline that sticks with you. For example, I don't see the quit in equity, something like that. And then just examples of words that you can make on your own. Racism, a way of exposing unseed seeds of racism, but equity, truly impartial election process, injustice, regarding justice as a joke, equality, absence of wealth and wage gap, and democracy, the end of government by the people. Shannon, we've got what, 8 minutes remaining?
Yeah, if anyone wants to share, feel free. But you can continue, Jim.
Yeah, let's get to the sharing part here. Some lovely quote from Amanda Gorman. If we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy and change our children's birthright. So it's share. If you'd like to share now, any other responses to what we've worked on today? Any questions, observations?
This is Stuart. I'm working from the concept of the perch of privilege as a white male is a place where I start.
Did you come up with that phrase, perch of privilege?
in my head today.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. Fantastic. Was there something from your perch of privilege, anything that we went through today that you thought you could go and tackle first of all?
Yeah, I think the way I'm looking at this is to figure out how to defend the right to protest, defend the right of others to protest, live with all principles of democracy, defeat our own complicity, and demand self-responsibility. That's kind of the thread I'm
Nice.
playing with.
Great. Excellent. And you crafted all that in this hour we had together?
In those words that you were
Yeah.
playing with. Yeah,
Great. Thank you. That's awesome.
it's a good exercise to think about framing.
Yeah, and we've squished a lot, we could spend weeks on well, actually too much time because we don't have time. We have to act now, but yeah, it's a lot to pack into an hour. But what you shared is excellent. Thank you.
I would also I'd work around the word anti-racist rather than racism.
Okay.
Create consensus to provoke anti-racist actions, something like that.
Shared in the chat, search for truth and develop dialogues to dismantle racism and build fair, diverse, and inclusive systems. Create a community designed to make human-centered practice commonplace and define and live our vision of a positive, fair, just, compassionate, shared future.
Lovely. Gosh, you guys have been working hard over there. Excellent. Can you read that one more time? Do we have Shannon one more time to read that?
Sure. Search for truth and develop dialogues to dismantle racism and build fair, diverse, and inclusive systems. Create a community designed to make human-centered practice commonplace. And define and live our vision of a positive, fair, just, compassionate, shared future.
Beautiful. You guys packed a lot of the key words into that, and it flowed really nicely, very smoothly. That's impressive. Very impressive. I love it. Great. Thank you.
I have three sentences that came to life for me. The first one is review the positive family pathways you have used for self and family and apply your positive learning to your work with friends and community organizations. My second thought was think of how democracy and poverty in your life gives you a action on demanding diversity and inclusion. And my third sentence was a call to action. Continue to do positive work with family and friends. So thank you for helping me to open up those thoughts in my head, and I will continue to use them.
Oh, good. Thanks. I love the family and friends connection you brought to things today. And maybe it's my own way of trying to deal with what's going on right now, and the whole feeling of if to begin to act locally, and we can define local, whatever our local is. But when I hear try to respond locally to what's happening nationally or globally, and I hear you using the way family and friends, how you used it today, really struck a chord with me. I love that. That's great.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yep.
And then Jalil had a comment. I just was wondering if he wanted to unmute and share more. He spoke about democracy. I know, Jim, you shared your definition of democracy is self-governance, governance by the people, and autonomy. And I think Jalil is kind of getting to the point that are we really living in a democracy right now?
And again, it's not my definition I'm sharing with you of democracy. It's what's the democracy, the definition that's made available through the general sources we have. So yeah, totally hear what you're saying. Are we really living in a democracy? At moments during the day, I have to say right now, no. Yeah. I'm partisan. Sorry. It's hard to fathom right now that we are.
Kim in the chat said, find a way to speak up for those who are unable to. She said, as I am an ignorant white woman who will never fully understand how this impacts those who do not look like I do, I'm here to humbly learn more always. So recognizing that white privilege. Thank you, Kim. And then Joyce said, we are in this together and we have to be included, family, friends, coworkers, and all people. We all should be equal in this moving forward for it to work. Thank you, Joyce.
Yeah, everything's been fantastic. Wow, I wish we had so much more time.